For this project, you will need some oil-based silver paint. I am using Liquid Leaf, and it is available at craft and hobby stores, and you can also order it online. I'm using oil-based paint so that I don't have to strip and sand before I paint the chair. I'm using a 1-inch artist brush, and you can either be ready to throw your brush away or get some mineral spirits to clean your brush with when you're done. Make sure you shake up your paint really well before you start. I'm taping the edges of the fabric with painter's tape because you will not get the paint cleaned off the fabric if you get it on there. So tape it as close up to the edges as you can. And I cover the rest of the chair with fabric kind of as I go to keep drips from getting onto the fabric. This paint goes on very easily, and it also dries very fast. I paint in the direction of the grain only because that gives it a more natural look. I also use for this entire chair only 2 of the small containers that I showed in the beginning of the video. When you get close to the edges where the fabric is, just go really slow and try to not even get any paint on the tape. And if you do that, you're less likely to have paint seep under the tape. Just get your paint on enough to cover and be sure you don't leave any drips behind. One of the hardest places to keep paint off the fabric is down where the arms or the back of the chair meet the fabric. So be especially careful taping that off that you are all the way up to the edge between the chair and the fabric. I usually add a couple extra rows of tape because if I don't, I will probably either drip paint on the fabric or rub my brush against the fabric as I go to paint the chair. You want to keep a minimal amount of paint on your brush when you do this, and you want to stay away from the tape as much as possible. Just try to do a little bit of paint and do a light coat, and don't try to jam your brush down next to the tape because it will probably seep through onto the fabric. The reason I'm using the oil-based paint is so that I don't have to sand this wood all the way down or prime it before I put this paint on there. The only reason my wood looks like this is because I tried a different metallic paint that I did not like, so I had to remove most of that finish to put this finish on there. The other reason I like an oil-based paint for this chair is that when I go to distress it, I can go ahead and distress it, and I do not have to put a coating over top of it like a clear wax or a polyurethane. Once it's distressed, it's ready to go. You could also just leave it silver if you didn't want to distress it. So this is a pretty quick and done way to do this chair. I let my paint dry for 8 hours before I came back to distress it. The best sandpaper to use when distressing this is going to be between a 180 to a 220 grit. It will take the finish off fairly easy, so just go slow so you can see what you're doing and learn exactly what the sandpaper is going to do. Because this is an oil-based paint, it actually has undertones under the silver. So what happens is when you sand it, it looks kind of like sterling silver. It brings out some grays and some blacks, which are all colors from which this paint was made. As much as I like chalk paint, I have found that the best metallic finish is in an oil-based paint, and that is why I am using that on this chair. I tried a metallic chalk paint before this, and it just did not have the kind of shine you can get from an oil-based paint. Now, like I said, I am not going to put a top coat on this. If you wanted to, you could put an oil-based polyurethane on it, but I don't see a reason to, because you've already got a well-protected, shiny finish, and you just don't have to do that. I'm doing most of my sanding just on the edges, and then I kind of run the sandpaper down the middle of the grooves as I go too. It's pretty quick and painless to get this chair distressed with this paint, so probably about 10 to 15 minutes of sanding on this chair and it is done. I always sand with the grain because it gives it a more natural look, and then like on the bottom of this leg I go around the other way because that's just how it would be naturally. So these are my results. This is my sterling silver distressed Victorian chair makeover. I'm really happy with it. I think it looks great. I love the paint and I love the colors. So thank you for watching. Please check back. I put up new videos all the time, and I have all types of DIY videos for furniture up, for dressers, upholstery, and some DIY home repair stuff. Thanks for watching.